Are you looking to become a realtor out here in Hawaii and wondering how much money do I actually make? Well, in this video, we're gonna break down what the average commission check is for an agent specifically out here in Hawaii. So stick around to get all the details. See you on the other side. All right, guys, so like I mentioned in this video, we're gonna break down what your average commission check can be after you factor in all the expenses, specifically out here in Hawaii. And I say specifically in Hawaii because what your commission check amount will be based on the price of the home, which can be different. If you're in Ohio, maybe it's $200,000 or $300,000, where the average or median sales price for a single family home out here is just over $1 million. So it makes a big difference what your commission check is based on that price point and your location. But before we jump into actually breaking down the numbers, I really need to lay down a foundation because you can get wowed by these numbers, but you need to understand a few things. The first thing is that when you get licensed and you hang your license with the brokerage, make sure that you do some shopping to understand what that brokerage is offering, because 99.9% of the time, those brokerages will not, I repeat, will not give you business. You need to learn how to generate your own business. Now, that brokerage may provide you some kind of support or training, and that's really important to understand. So make sure you dive in and understand what brokerages offer. If you want to learn more about my brokerage, where we do a lot of modern training and properly learning how to leverage social media to generate business on autopilot, feel free to reach out. I'd love to teach you more about that, or at least educate you on what we do at the Wolfpack. But with that being said, that's one thing that you really need to understand, is that it's your own business. You need to generate your own business and your own leads. And without that, you will never receive a commission check if you don't know how to generate leads. So that's one really important aspect you want to understand. The second thing you need to understand is out here in Hawaii, the average agent, now mind you, there's a lot of agents out here, but the average agent does 1.5 transactions a year. Now that's not that many. Now there's some agents that are doing 30, 40, 50, 100 deals a year, but I'd say probably on average an agent does anywhere between 5 and 15. I probably average somewhere between 10 and 25. So it just really depends on where you are on the spectrum. And usually what happens is when you're in the business, the longer the list of clients that you start to build after years and years of being in it, you start to have more and more transactions where your income starts to increase, but it takes time to get there. So it's important to understand that usually you need to hang in there. And if you're doing it full time, you will be successful as long as you put in the work. But it is something to understand that the average agent, which isn't full-time agents, this is some that, are part-time, or some that are full-time, and everything in between, does 1.5 deals a year. Now, the third thing I want to go over is when you first get started, just understand you're not going to be selling $1 million homes most likely. You most likely are going to work with first-time home buyers who know nothing about buying real estate, who don't have a realtor, and that's why they're talking to you, because they don't already have a realtor and you're their first point of contact. Those buyers are most likely going to be in that $300,000 to $500,000 price range out here in Hawaii. Now, if you heard me say that and you're, once again, in Ohio or somewhere maybe where that's a really low price point, you're like, that's amazing. But out here in Hawaii, that's pretty much the lowest point when it comes to purchasing a house. The average home for like a condo or a townhouse is usually in that price range, 300 to 500. So that's what you're going to start with, and then you'll soon build up as those clients, maybe move and buy another house. They'll do an up-leg property and buy a house for 700, and then later for $1 million. So that's kind of what you're gonna expect, is in that 300 to 500 range. And once you build your book of business, you'll start to see that you'll start getting more business in that 700 to $1.5 million range, where you start to make a little bit more money. So that's just kind of me setting the foundation and the reality of what it's like being a realtor out here, specifically when you're getting started. Okay, guys, so I laid down the foundation. Now let's break down the numbers so you can get a better understanding of what your actual take home is, because a lot of people get wowed by the percentage and the price point, but you need to understand there are expenses for doing a transaction. So let's break it down. Now, if you are going to be in that 300 to 500 range, let's go on the high end to make it fun. If you were to sell a home for 500 grand or help a client buy a home for 500 grand, you can expect to get 2.5% on average, usually between 2 and 3%, but on average, it's usually 2.5% of the purchase price. So 2.5% of 500 grand is $12,500. So that is the top line. Now we need to start minusing certain expenses. Now, depending on which brokerage you are with, they have different types of commission splits, but generally speaking, let's just use my brokerage for an example. My brokerage has a 80-20 split. So I take home 80%, the brokerage takes 20%. I actually get 100% after I give them 16 grand, but we won't get into that. If you want to learn more about that, again, contact information right here. But they're going to take 20% of that $12,500. So they are going to take $2,500 from that $12,500, which is going to leave us with 10 grand. The next thing is if you have a transaction coordinator or a TC, you most likely will have to pay them probably about $500 per transaction. What a TC does is they do all the paperwork for you. I highly suggest doing it after you've done a couple transactions. It makes your life way easier. I would be nothing without my transaction coordinator. So you're gonna minus 500 off that 10 grand, which is now leaving you with 9,500 bucks. And then the other expense you have is taxes, right? So on average, you're probably gonna be looking at about 30% taxes, what you're gonna have to pay on your income. So 30% of that 9,500 is 2,850 bucks. So we're gonna minus that off the bottom, which leaves us with the grand total of $6,150. So you can see how very quickly we went from 12,000 and basically cut it in half. So it's really important to understand the numbers so that you don't get wowed by this, $10,000 commission check, because there are expenses that come out of that paycheck before it goes into your pocket. So just something to keep in mind. So you can, on average, expect to take home about 6 grand on a $500,000 purchase price. Now, obviously, as the price points go up, that can get much larger, but I'm just being extremely specific with understanding that there are expenses when it comes to actually doing a transaction, when it comes to taxes, your brokerage fees, and everything else in between. So anyways, guys, that pretty much breaks down and gives you a rough idea of what a commission check looks like for a real estate agent out here in Hawaii. If you guys have any questions, whether you're a newer agent or an agent who's moving to Hawaii and wondering, what are the ins and outs, what are the price points, things like that, I'd be happy to assist. By all means, you can comment down below or give me a call. I got my contact information right here, or you can directly DM me on any of my social media platforms. And once again, if you are interested in learning about our mastermind group, the Wolf Pack, over at eXp Realty, we do offer a lot of value for agents, new seasoned investors, when it comes to proper modern training. So like I mentioned, we offer top-notch modern training on how to generate leads, leveraging social media on autopilot, as well as 4 masterminds a week, a private Facebook group to collaborate and to build a community, and much, much more. So if you want to learn more about this, by all means, reach out to me. But with that being said, I'm Patrick with PatrickLawrenRealty.com, powered by eXp Realty. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Aloha.